true love. It isn't found.
It is ordered. Call WIFELIKE now.
Update your wife, upgrade your life.
Written and directed by James Bird, we are talking WIFELIKE. See what they did with the title there? And this one stars Jonathan Rhys Meyers, and this is a kind of dystopian future about AI, or more specifically kind of sexbots, fembots, whatever you want to call them. This is a topic that we've seen kind of a few times before, going back to the kind of likes of Galaxina and Blade Runner. But even recently, kind of, we've had more movies that have dealt with this, you know, AI and kind of human androids used primarily as, let's say, companions. And in actual fact, this is something that is actually starting to happen in real life. And I suspect in, you know, a few decades' time, it may well be a reality. Think when in the 60s when Star Trek was on how they used communicators and how, you know, that was technology of the future, and now with kind of mobile devices, it's pretty much there. And I think this will be probably a similar case with the likes of Sexbots. Anyway, what is the story? So it focuses on this guy, played by Jonathan Rhys Meyers, who is an agent for this WIFELIKE, who is this essentially large tech company that makes these kind of human androids, primarily for companionship, let's just call it that, but there's talk of a few other kind of functions that they use for that maybe not have been quite successful, like soldiers and things like that, for example. And you know, he has this he's actually an agent who goes and recovers kind of stolen androids and things like this. And there is this we're told that there's this group of kind of protesters, so to speak, who are against these kind of these AI beings and kind of want to have like more rights for them and things like this. And he himself has got this AI bride called Meredith, who is based off someone he loved in real life. Now, as the movie transpires, there seems to be a little bit of a conspiracy, a little bit of a mystery involving the kind of the circumstances of these two kind of characters and where it all kind of leads into the kind of the larger picture. What will happen? You'll have to watch the movie and find out. So let us discuss. Now, despite this movie being about artificial women used ultimately for sex, it's actually a relatively kind of tame movie in regards to that. It's kind of one sex scene, so it's not over gratuitous, to be honest with you, which I think it works in the kind of the movie's favour. It makes it less salacious and more of a kind of a drama kind of sci-fi. I have to say, the woman who plays Meredith, who is the kind of the main android, an actress by Eleanor Campus, probably pronounced that wrong, but there you go. I think she's excellent because, and I think a lot of that goes down to the hair and makeup and stuff as well. But I think her portrayal of this kind of this android who is slowly learning from the environment around her, and we actually see scenes of her as a kind of a human as well. I thought she did an excellent job. Her kind of like her movements and this little jerky way she kind of moves around, and you know the way she kind of like doesn't have much in the way of facial expressions. It does a good job, I think, of this progression of this kind of android who is slowly very mechanical, but getting kind of more and more humanity as the sort of the movie goes on. And I think again, credit to, like, for example, the production team here, who give them, there's a few kind of like android sort of characters, not as much as Meredith, but you know, we see a few others. And they do a good job of kind of making these clearly, obviously, real actresses almost look a little bit uncanny valley. So they look pretty good, but not, you know, they're not quite there in a way. And obviously that's testament to the kind of the production, obviously, because they're using real actresses to kind of play androids looking like humans, if that makes sense. And I think that was good. I thought that was a good sort of concept here. As the movie progresses, you don't really know where the story's going, to be honest. It seems to be that, you know, it's a little bit of he said, she said, and you're not quite sure what the kind of the truth is. Obviously, it all will be kind of revealed as the kind of the movie kind of goes on. But then I think as the film progresses, you know, it does have a reasonably kind of interesting kind of story here. And we kind of, you maybe have to guess what's kind of going on. It's not all that hard to kind of figure out, but I think it's a reasonable kind of plot and the kind of, plot progression and kind of a few kind of surprises here and there if you kind of, if you're able not to kind of guess what's going on. But I think that's all pretty good. Considering this is a lower budget movie, I actually kind of quite like the kind of the world that's in. It's very Blade Runner-esque. It reminded me a lot of the movie Her, actually, with Joaquin Phoenix. Obviously, that one didn't have physical kind of androids, but it feels very much like a similar movie in some ways. If the actual kind of AI had physical physical kind of forms in that one, And it's a movie that has a lot of themes. There's a theme about what constitutes kind of sentience, what constitutes obsession. People's different kind of perceptions on things. Again, I don't want to sort of spoil too much for you without kind of going too much about that, but there are a few things on there, and arguably you could say it's a little bit politicized in some instances, but I actually think it does actually ask some interesting questions, that I quite enjoyed. So what doesn't work for me? I've got to be honest with you, Jonathan Rhys Meyers looks like he's not fully committing to this role. Let me just put it like that. He just seems this is a bit of a low budget kind of paycheck gig. An actor's got to act. He's not exactly an A-lister. So I didn't really feel like he was trying his hardest on this one. If I'm honest, he seems like a little bit, I don't want to say asleep at the wheel, but he doesn't seem fully committed is the best way I would kind of describe it. I'd also have to say I think the plot is a little bit convoluted at times. I mean, it's a reasonably clever plot. It's not entirely, all that clever, because I think you can kind of more or less guess where it's going to a point. But it's nonetheless a little bit kind of confusing, and I think that the movie deliberately holds a few cards close to its chest because it wants to reveal them later on. But the kind of the downside of that is, as the movie goes on, it kind of, you kind of feeling I don't really know what's going on here. And then finally, I would say the ending in the movie feels a little bit tacked on and cheap. It almost feels like they're kind of setting up for a sequel, but it feels like particularly kind of tacked on. I actually think they could have stopped it 2 scenes before and it would have been a better film in some respects. It doesn't take too much away, but I don't know, the ending seems just a little bit cheap if you ask me. Overall, I've got to be honest with you though, I think the performances of certainly everyone outside Jonathan Rhys Meyers, he doesn't do necessarily a bad job, he just feels like he's not really kind of all that invested, but everyone else I think does a reasonable job here. I think the story is a little bit contrived, but it's still interesting, and I think this world that this movie inhabits is quite good, and I would like to kind of see more of it, and that does make me kind of think this is a reasonably good movie. If I'm wanting to know more about this world, that's the feeling it leaves me with, that can only be a good thing. So I'll give this one a 7 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.